Well, Rob, thank you for joining us for a catch up. We'll start off with the FA Youth Cup game at Lincoln City. It was a 5-0 defeat, but could you just sort of summarise how the game went for the lads?
Yeah, listen, clearly disappointing because you want to give a better account of yourselves overall. However, if you break it down into chunks of the game, right, we were talking earlier about first 30 or so minutes before they scored, it wouldn't have been a complaint from anyone if we'd been 2 goals up, maybe 3 goals up. Their goalie makes 2 or 3 good saves. We have opportunities where, in another game you might Jay Layden gets you something, or Dylan arrives late in the box and finishes. So for the first 30 minutes, we were actually the aggressor, front foot, and we actually played some really good football, created problems from set pieces, and then we gifted them a goal on about 32, 33 minutes, something like that, and it. The occasion then is a challenge, and you could see the boys' shoulders just drop a touch. And it becomes an uphill battle then. And listen, Lincoln were a really good side as well, right? So it was a really competitive game. Their second goal, good goal, right on half time. And although it's not a great time to concede, we arguably were still well in the game. So you go into the second half fairly hopeful. We gifted them a goal. It was that early. I didn't really see it properly. I literally just sat down within like about 10 or 15 seconds of the second half starting, and it just the game goes then really a little bit. So the tempo drops. We got a little bit open, so we changed shape a little bit, and we just pushed a few more players up just to have a go at it. Because listen, if you're going to lose 3-0, there's no point defending a 3-0 defeat, right? So you might as well have a little go, see if you can get something. So being a bit more open and exposed always allows the opposition opportunities to get in. So disappointing in the end. Some good stuff to take out of the first half hour. In the cold light of day, in the moment you're really disappointed, but in the cold light of day today, will that be the defining moment for them as players? No, it's just another part of the process in terms of where they're going as footballers. Are they disappointed? Yes, of course they are. Will they move on? Yes, of course they will, because they've now got, the first years and the younger players we play Lincoln again on Saturday in the Under-17s Cup. So they move on Saturday. The second years and the older ones move on. They play Tibberdale in the Birmingham Cup on Tuesday. So it just becomes another part of the process. It's disappointing. Obviously, for some of them, they won't play in that competition ever again. That'll be their last opportunity as scholars to play in that competition. So disappointing. Happy that we got to the second round. I take the positives from it. And listen, we move on to the next part of the process and the journey. So, yeah, both edges of the sword, right?
So you mentioned the process, the journey. It sounds like the key moments were goal before half time and just after half time. Is that the biggest lesson the lads will take, do you reckon?
It's all about moments, isn't it? We talk to the players a lot about taking your opportunities and the moments in the game. It's no different to the lads that play on the pitch here, right? One moment could be the making of you and be the making of your career. One moment could be have the opposite effect. So it's those moments in games, and it's also managing the occasion a little bit, because I think those of us been around it a long time and been involved in multiple FA Youth Cup games. You forget the value the kids place on it, right? So it's a really big game for them. And listen, they played it on a lovely pitch in a nice stadium. There were probably 300 or 400 people watching. That's not the norm for us at our level. It's very different, and it gets built up into. It's a lot more than just a normal run-of-the-mill under-18s game for the players. So, although we try and underplay it as staff as just being another game, for the players it's a big deal. We were just saying that the second years now won't play in that competition ever again. So, it's managing the game, managing the moments. If you go a goal down, manage the game, take your opportunities when they come. If you recognise that you don't take your opportunities, just keep yourselves in it to give yourselves a chance. And listen, they've got to go away from it, learn lessons, right? Because it's, if that's a Saturday afternoon out here, it becomes more important, right? Last night's game, in the grand scheme of things, is not that important, because it's where they're at in terms of their journey right now. So yeah, there's loads for them to learn. It helps us as staff, because you get to see what character have they got, who steps up, who's got the personality to step up and deal with adversity in difficult moments in front of a crowd on a big night, who hasn't. So there's value in us for us as staff. But on reflection, listen, you take the good bits, you learn from the bad bits, and you move on to the next game, which is in sort of less than a week's time. So it's that's where we're at. Yeah.
Let's look at some other good bits. First of all, Dylan Thomas has already made 3 appearances for the first team. As well as that, I think we had 7 academy scholars/graduates involved in the game at Shrewsbury. I think 5 of them, current scholars. What a moment for them as well to have so many involved. Particularly Jay, Charlie Ragg, Dylan, George. What a moment for all of them to be involved that night.
I think the big plus for us here right now is that the pathway is a word that gets sort of thrown around quite a lot. Whether you call it pathway or progression or whatever you call it. If you haven't got that, it's really difficult for the players to see the end goal, right? So the fact that we've now got that, and the communication and the relationships between us and the first team staff are so tight in comparison to what they have been probably for a number of years. I know when Sad spoke a while ago, he talked about probably as tight as when Dean Smith was here back in the day. So it's really tight. The first team staff know all our players. Our players go and train with them on a daily basis, whether it's 1 of them, 3 of them, 5 of them. That progression opportunity, that pathway, that whatever you want to call it, is as tight as I've known it for a long time. And I wouldn't be able to tell you, and I know I spoke to you guys at the time I couldn't tell you whether it's ever happened before that 4 16-year-olds have got in a first team squad here. I don't know. But I would imagine those moments are very few and far between. But again, it's just a small part of the process, right? Because they have a little taste of it. I'm sure they wanted more of a taste of it. They didn't quite get maybe what they hoped they would get, but they've got to take the learning from it and just move on, right? And keep doing what they're doing, and they'll get more opportunities. And, there's clearly 1 or 2 standouts. The standouts primarily, like George Barrett's doing really well. A few of us went to watch him on loan on Saturday. Dudley did really well, got really good reports. Us, academy and first team staff went to watch him. Dylan's clearly the sort of, the one who's kind of standing out and we're all singing about right now. But there's 2 or 3 right on his coattails who at some point will be in and around it, and it's, what it's like as well, right? As the person sat in this chair, more always wants more. So, I'd like more, but it's not realistic to have more. So it's just that, let's not get carried away. Let's enjoy where we're at. Let's keep working the way we're working. And over time, we'll hopefully see 2, 3, 4 more of them start to get debuts and so on and so forth. But the fact that, myself and whether it's Darren or Sads or whoever it is, Gaz, we can have those conversations on a daily basis is invaluable. And they know who our players are. And that's everything to a small club like us.
Looking at the season as a whole so far, 3 months in, about a month away from the Christmas break for the academy boys, how do you sort of reflect on all the events involving the academy so far this season? I think in terms of the 18s, results have been better than last season at this stage. Under 17s again seem to be doing quite well. So how are you finding things overall?
I'm really happy with where we're at. I think it's, we've moved on from last year. We've moved on in terms of staffing from last year. We're currently in the process of recruiting a couple of important roles full-time, but we've moved on in terms of staffing. Head of recruitment's now full-time, which has never happened here before. So again, the fact that we're being supported from above me is really important, and shows the fact that there's value in what we're trying to do. So progress in terms of staffing. In terms of players on the pitch, the under 18s have already won more games this year than they won last year. Would we like to win more? Of course we would, but again, it's that really fine balance between, and I keep saying this to you all the time, don't I, about, yes, outcome and results is nice, but actually it's not always, that can mask and hide the work that's going on. So in terms of player opportunity, fabulous. I look at the under 18s group last night, for example, we had 8 under 16s in the group. So we were really young, and for me that fills me with confidence that we've got some good young players that we're prepared to involve, and I'd much rather do that than go with a team of all second years and all the rest of it. And even in the league games, some you can play under 19s down. You know, so we could arguably play Ram and Marvin our under-18s games on a weekend, but I don't see that there's no point for me. I'd rather play an under-16 up than an under-19 down, because I think there's greater value in that. So I see opportunities for players playing across. The under-17s haven't lost, touch wood, yet in their competitive cup competition. So we travel to Lincoln again Saturday, which is, you know, just around the corner. For what will be a really good, I think a really good game. And then I think it will come down to a decider between us and Mansfield, who wins that group. So we're really competitive in terms of that. And then just across the board, generally, I look at the younger ones, and we're competitive, you know. So under 9s and under 10s, they play in their competitive games in what we call the Midlands Championship. So we're currently top of that programme. Now, the fact that our under 9s and 10s are top of the Midlands Championships is kind of neither here nor there, really. But it just shows, you know, when you're competing against Birmingham, Burton and Shrewsbury, which are the teams in it, you know, we're more than competing at those younger ends as well. And I look across the groups and I see some good players. You know, now clearly we need more, but I see some good players, and that's the process, right? You know, so I'm really comfortable, really positive. I think the whole feel about where we're going is really positive for me, and we'll just keep going, and you know, we'll keep banging the drum, and I think we'll, over time, next 2 to 3 years, I think we'll start to reap the benefits of all the hard work that's going on, because it's, again, I think people looking in from the outside, they're kind of expecting results and stuff to happen right now, right? So kids to be playing in the first team, but it doesn't quite always happen as quick as that. And it's about just managing that process appropriately and effectively to get them through. So, listen, I think we've made great strides. And listen, the icing on the cake is things like last Tuesday, you know, to have all those. And there was a great picture that got shared, I think, of the 7 of them, right? And it's just, and I look at them and it makes you feel proud, right? Because fundamentally, that's what we're here to try and do, if we can give them the best opportunity to get around that top end or that more elite end of the game. You know, but it then just makes you want to do more, right? So we'll keep banging the drum, we'll keep trying to do more.